My name is Nathan Skuratovich, and this is my sales management project final. We had to interview 3 sales managers from 3 different companies and ask them a series of questions. So first, let's meet who I interviewed. The first person I interviewed, his name is Pat Coleman. He is the regional sales manager for Cintas Corporation and works out of Novi, Michigan. He is 50 years old and has held this position for almost 20 years. The second person I interviewed was a guy named Greg Kasdorf. He's a sales manager for Eastern Oil Company. Greg is in his mid-40s and has been a sales manager at Eastern Oil for 5 years and works out of Pontiac, Michigan. The third person I interviewed was a guy named Sheldon Taylor. He is the sales manager for a car dealership that sells Toyota. Sheldon is only 26 and he's a graduate from Northwood University, and he works out of Ann Arbor, Michigan as their sales manager. And I picked 3 different companies, pretty different companies and sales strategies here. Cintas is a Fortune 500 company and therefore is a very large business. Eastern's a rather small business, so their sales managing teams are a little bit different. Then obviously with the car dealership will be the third and is different from these two, which are business to business. Car dealership is business to customer or business to the consumer. So the first question are, what are your responsibilities as a sales manager? And since all 3 gave such extensive answers, I'll be only focusing on 1 or 2 answers per person I interviewed. So Pat Coleman answered this question basically by saying how there are countless responsibilities being a regional manager for the Fortune 500 company. It is such a large business, and he basically manages the entire Midwest. He has to oversee all the sales force teams to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to. He says also because Cintas makes so many deliveries on a daily basis, he wants to be sure all sales teams are working efficiently and properly delivering each sale. And it basically works through a tier. He has his managers below him that manage the sales teams, and they all report back to him. So that's his biggest responsibility, to make sure every single sales team is communicating well and well organized. And then I also asked Greg Kasdorf. He answered this question by saying Eastern is a small company of only about 60 employees. We mainly target the Detroit area, but they do go out of state, he said. And his biggest responsibility is sending his sales reps to companies that want to buy the products. Since they're a smaller company, they're focused on expanding, so he wants to send his sales reps so they can gain more sales. The next question I asked is, how do you organize your salespeople? And Sheldon Taylor answered this as by keeping it simple. He says it's a car dealership, and keeping it simple is key, and is one of the biggest parts why he's a sales manager at such a young age. He says constant and proper communication is a key. At a dealership, as long as each salesman knows their job and role, we will sell cars. And that's the most important thing, is just keeping it simple and knowing the roles. Pat Coleman answered this by saying there are so many Cintas locations and sales teams throughout the Midwest that it's impossible just him to keep track of it all. So as I said, it's him, his managers below him, and then their sales teams that they manage. They all report back through him. The next question, what is your process of hiring new salespeople? Greg Kasdorf says we really like to hire from inside the company. Unless we spot someone with great credentials from the outside, we really want to promote from the inside of the company. And Eastern Oil, they have a MO that says Team Eastern, which they really want to promote. They want the entire company to work together and as one unit. They want production, sales, and finances all to work at the same rate. So he says that getting someone that's already familiar with how the company operates on a day-to-day basis is really key for making sales. Pat Coleman from Cintas answers this question basically the same way. Cintas is really big about hiring from inside the companies because they have one of the best sales training entry programs in the nation, they believe. So they believe that their sales managers, sales trainees are ready to go as soon as they step out of the program. Next question I asked is, how do you train your sales reps? Pat Coleman says we put them through their sales training program through Cintas, which is an 18-month program. The program provides a strong foundation, the full sales process, and the art of selling products and services to our customers. The training program combines a series of rotations in various areas of our business, such as general office, operations, service, and production. This encompassing program provides participants with a broad understanding of business operations and how the sales representative positions fits within Cintas and growth strategy. Actually, my older brother went through this program, and I did it in 6-month shifts. And he said it was the greatest thing. He said he learned so much through their sales training program, and as soon as he got out of it, he had his job in sales and is working at Cintas now. So it's a great program, and I see why Cintas wants to hire from the inside, because they feel like they train their trainees very, very well. And Sheldon Taylor, now he works for the car dealership, answered this by, they want salespeople with experience, and the best way to do that is throw them right into the mix. He says that we stress customer relationship at dealerships, which makes sense because people are, it's a big investment to buy a car for the first time, he said. So he wants people to be as comfortable as possible and know what they're doing and leave no gray areas or so when buying a car. So making customers feel comfortable is very, very important. And he believes that if each person can be confident, each salesperson can make the customer feel confident about the decision, they will sell more cars. And then next question, what is your strategy for making sales? So Sheldon Taylor and Greg Kasdorf answered this question the same way. They both said using a combination of finding out what the customer needs and wants and properly compensating them. The second part is customer relation, making the buyer feel comfortable with what they're doing, but comfortable with what they're doing for the first sale, and it'll also lead to repeat sales. So with the first part is Greg says that he has his sales team use a series of questions to figure out what their new customer wants and what they need. Or if they need to change their product, why is the first product bad or not what they're fitting, and fit them to another product for their company so they can keep on repeating sales. And the second is making their customer feel comfortable and know them not just through a business basis but also a personal basis is very, very important. Develop a relationship. And the same thing goes for Sheldon, what he said about the car dealership. When people come in making this big investment to buy a car, he wants them to know exactly what they're buying, exactly what they're getting, and leave no questions. How do you lead your sales force? This is another question I asked. Greg Kasdorf says communication is everything. He said he leaves no doubt in his salespeople of what they are supposed to do. He wants to teach good attitude and values to lead to good results. Secondly, he wants his sales team to feel as they have little stress so they can clearly operate efficiently. He does this because being a salesman is stressful enough. So leaving no doubt in the salespeople and letting them operate without stress is very important. It's a very stressful job to be a salesperson, as we all know, and you get the word no a lot. So being persistent and being able to operate and have fun with the job is a great way, he believes, to operate success. And keeping a good attitude is the most important part, he said, of being a salesperson. He said there has never been a successful salesperson out there with a poor attitude. Sheldon answered this by saying he wants